to fold it like a hot dog or a taco. Thank goodness we have lunch next period. And then unfold it. How we look in there? Okay, good. Tell me if you guys, this is the tricky fold. There's always that one person that messes it up. So, I'm going to help you out. If you take the width of your paints and you put it right in the middle of your paper, above you, and you fold in all the way, about all the way to the edge of the paints, and then you do one more fold using the edge of that to fold on, you should, we'll find out if it's true. You should end up with 6 spaces. There's always someone who ends up with 8. I'm not sure how it happens. Take your piece of paper and flip it. Write your name on the back side. Please write it legibly. End the class period 3B. Flip your paper back. Okay, let's set ourselves up for success. So, check your brushes, clean them out, and then wipe them on your paper towel. Make sure no pigment comes off your brushes. That one looks good. Swish the other one. Clean it. The nice thing about using the glass containers is you can see if your water is clean or dirty. The not so nice thing about using the glass containers is when you drop them, you get a sweep glass up. So, just be careful. Oh, jeez. When? Alright, so if you are right-handed, put your water and your paints on the right side and put your paints in the middle. If you're left-handed, take your water and your brushes and put them on the left side. It'll just make it easier because then you're not like crossing over your paper to grab your paints. Alright, we're going to start with yellow, so hopefully your paints are clean. If you need to wipe one out with a paper towel, that's another one of those pieces of setting yourself up for success. We're starting with a round brush, good question. And yep, we're recording alright. So, taking your round brush, we're going to start at the top of the first square, and we're just going to make one straight line with yellow. Good question. Yep. You guys don't have to write on yours, but it seems like it's been helpful if I write the color down in case I start going too fast, so that you can stay caught up. The next color we're going to grab is orange. You've got 2 different oranges potentially. Just remember which orange you use, because we're going to be crisscrossing with the same colors after these dry. Notice how when you first put the color down, it's really bright and vibrant, and then as you start to drag it out, it kind of dilutes on your paper. That's alright. After orange, we're going to go to red. You may have 2 reds in your tray too. Pick one. Just as a reminder, the more you rub your brush against the pigment, the more pigment you get on your paper. Make sure your brush is good and clean after using red. Sometimes it likes to stain your brush a little. After red, we're going to use green. You probably have 2 different greens. Pick whichever one works for you. And my green's not as dark as I want, so I'm going to rub it around a little bit more. I like the swishing sound I'm hearing. If you swish your brush around a lot, it cleans it out a lot better. You don't need to smash it on the side or on the bottom. That'll hurt the bristles. We don't want to hurt our brush. Your brush is your friend. After green, we're going to grab blue. Kind of. We are putting most of the colors down, and then we're going to crisscross them, and you're going to see what happens when one color ends up on the bottom and one color ends up on the top, and vice versa. Yeah, because they actually mix a different color, and I'll show you the example after we get all the colors laid down. After blue, we're going to do purple. Again, you probably have two purples, so pick whichever one you want. Sometimes you can mark it on your hand or your paper towel to test it out. Yeah, I know, these papers are a little big for our nice cozy room, but you guys are making it work. We're good. And then the last color we're going to use is brown. So by doing this, I'm just going to show you what it's eventually going to look like. Don't crisscross them yet because we want these colors to dry. We'll come back to this. So the point of this is you can see right here, the orange was laid down first and the yellow was laid down on top of the orange. So we get this like more yellowy orange, whereas this one, the yellow went down first and the orange went on top of it, and we get a much darker version. So same exact colors, it just matters the order you put your colors in determines what they look like. So think about when you paint something, sometimes you have to put primer on it. By putting that primer on it, or if you're putting makeup on your face and putting primer down, that primer makes it so that your colors react when you put a second color on top of it. Same thing with watercolor, it's super translucent, so if you put a darker color down first and a lighter color on top of it, it's going to make an effect one way. If you switch that order, it's going to affect it differently. So same thing here with the green. This one's a lot lighter, this one's a lot darker. The blue is about the same, the blue's pretty dark. But you'll get to see what your colors do. So after you get your nice little striped rainbow down, just leave it. And then for the next piece, we're going to grab your flat brush. So you can pick any color you want for this next one, preferably not white or yellow, it's just harder to see the effects. I like to use colors that haven't been used that much, so like whatever this color is, I'll use it because people haven't used it that much. We are going to paint a little square, which sounds really boring, but it's not. Something cool is going to happen to this little square. So paint your square. We are going to, in the second box, I put it at the top because we're going to do something cooler down here. That shows you the same thing. After you get your square done, you're going to clean off your brush and you are going to paint just on two sides of it. We're going to make a backwards L, but we're not touching our square right now. We're just painting some water. So we're just making a water L. Then we're going to go next to our box or square and touch the paint, and we're going to let it run into the water. So it's kind of like that wet on wet thing we did the other day. What this is showing you is this edge up here is a hard edge. This edge down here that we let run in is a soft edge. So sometimes you want a hard edge to show detail on things like grass or trees, things that are in the foreground or closest to you, maybe words or letters. But soft edges are great for flowers, the tops of trees, water, things that you want to make look more flowy. So sometimes you're going to want hard edges on things, sometimes you're going to want soft edges on things. And if you want to play with your soft edge a little bit, you can even dab it a little bit with a paper towel just on one side, and it'll soften it up even more. I just took a little bit off. Just dab one of your edges, and then you can see some contrast between if you dab your edge or if you let your edge bleed. Bless you. Both are techniques and they work great. Bless you again. There's Kleenex by the door if you need them. I like that you're helping out people around you. It's nice. There's hope for the world. Alright, again, grab any other color you want, preferably one that's not been used too much and not yellow and not white. Rub the color quite a bit so you get a decent amount of pigment off on your brush. Use your flat brush, and we're going to make sort of a ridge line of mountains. You guys will learn that I like to paint mountains and trees a lot. So just make sort of a ridge line. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Yeah, we're still using flat brush. Good question. After you do your ridge line, wash your brush out again. And just like we did with the box, you're going to trace a line touching the edge of your ridge line so that, yeah, this is just kind of fun because the paint just bleeds. It's really fun to just watch paint. Yeah, just wet. It's totally cleaned off. The neat thing about the purple is since purple is a mixture of red and blue, you can see the pink in this purple. So it looks like two-tone. If you want to bring your mountain down, rinse your brush off, and you can pull your mountain down and watch and see how far you can get that pigment to bleed down. Now with the sunset, some of y'all commented and said that you had a hard time with your water ratio. Some people had it like too wet or not wet enough. And that happens. You're just getting used to watercolor, so be kind to yourself. But pay attention as you're painting to how much water you're using to get it to bleed. When is too much water too much? When do you need more pigment? And the more you get familiar with watercolor, the easier it will be for you to figure out if you need more water or if you need more pigment. So don't totally write watercolor off and go, I suck. You're still learning. Be nice to yourself. I hated watercolor in high school. This one is in this square. We are going to do a piece of tape going all the way from the top all the way down to the fold. And these are going to be aspen trees. Haha, ba-dun-dun. What, that was pretty good. You're going to knock him for that one? Aww. Make sure your tape is firmly pressed down. You don't want paint getting stuck under there. I'm going to make one thin tree and one fat tree. And then if you end up with extra, just toss it in your bucket. Oh, there's a drowning brush. Save it. Yeah, tape can be tricky sometimes. Uh-oh. Sometimes you can uncurl it from itself. It is possible. Alright, now we got 2 trees. You can do 2 or 3 trees, whatever works for you. Oh, they got some. It's all good. Does anybody else need tape? Back row. Leaves and they can't photosynthesize in the wintertime, but those can. Yay, thank goodness. Mission accomplished. We can all no. So for this next one, I want you guys to watch and then do. So if you're still taping, that's okay. So don't do it, just watch it. We're going to paint the area where the tape is, that square. Obviously the paint's not going to get where the tape is. That's the whole point of the tape, is to mask off that area. You can make it wet first or not, up to you. You could do a sunset in here. I'm kind of going to do a little galaxy thing. So if you do a little bit of purple, you grab a little bit of turquoise, the other purple. Just make sure to clean your brush off between. Right? You could use